But anyway, so we're going to move to verse, I believe, 11. Yes, verse 11. And the thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight because of his son. Okay, so Sarah is telling Abraham Ishmael needs to get lost because Ishmael needs to level up to what Isaac represents, okay? The lower nature needs to level up to what the higher nature had alchemized as. And Abraham's upset about that. Because if I have to get rid of Ishmael, that's like, that is hard. It's a hard aspect to get rid of yourself because it's still Abraham's son. And even though you want to level up in your life, in your reality, the old version of you, the things that you've created, your children, right? Whether they be physical manifestations or, biological manifestations that you had created, like this sounds really weird, but like I had IBS for over 8 years, and I went through all of the physical possible treatments you could imagine, changing diet, visiting doctors, blood work, gut microbiome tests, like the scans, MRI scans, CAT scans, everything, water fasting, drove myself crazy. Nothing would work. I finally recognized it was my mind after a couple of however long it took, and that's what really woke me up to consciousness, or at least was one of them, or the power of the mind. And, after going through all of those years of being that person, it was interesting to not be that person anymore because it was a part of my identity, right? I was the girl that would fast forever. I was the girl that would have eating issues, like in the sense of not being able to eat particular things because that was my judgment of myself. I labeled myself like that for X amount of years that it became my identity. It became a child essentially because you always bear into reality what it is you judge, which is your child, whether it's a physical one, like through your body, or like a literal manifestation. You get what I'm saying? It's all allegory. So Sarah is essentially saying get rid of your son, meaning get rid of that aspect of yourself, because each of these characters represent Abraham's psyche. He has to change it. He doesn't want to. That's hard. That's hard for you to shift your identity, right? After me not having that issue, I was like, well, then who am I? And granted, I was a lot more still at that point, but it can be very anxiety inducing when you're not labeled by your issues anymore, because typically a lot of people are labeled by their problems. And when you recognize that your problems are there mostly because of your judgments, if not because of all your judgments, that's hard to reckon with, number one. So a lot of people are in denial. But two, when you recognize that about yourself, who are you, right? So it's another really cool example. It's not exactly the same, but parallels the concept. There's this guy named Michael Singler, and he wrote this book. I forget what, I think Untethered Soul maybe. And I just remember this was years ago, and he was saying people are just addicted to their labels, right? Let's say there's a woman. This woman is a teacher and a mother of 3 children and is married to her husband and has a passion for oil painting, okay? Well, the question is how would you describe yourself as? And she would describe herself as all of those things. But you existed before you enjoyed oil painting, so you're not an oil painter. You existed before you had 3 kids, so you're technically not a mother. That's not who you genuinely are at your soul, right? You weren't married before you were, so you're not a wife. Who are you then, right? We're so harped up on identifying ourselves as something that it's really hard to swallow the pill of knowing that you're not any of your labels. You're not any of your judgments in the sense of what your core expression is. You get to choose what you want to be. Personality in Latin means mask. So it's that for a reason, because the English language was derived from specific languages, French, Latin, and German, to create these kind of meanings behind the words, because the people that created English knew what they were doing. So when you wear a personality, you're wearing a mask, right? You go online, you see, oh, this fitness guru, they must know so much, blah, blah, blah. And it's well, it's a mask, because they're not that person all the time. That's a personality. So Abraham is just upset that he has to get rid of this aspect of himself, essentially. And me telling you those stories is kind of what alludes to him being grievous in the sight of having to get rid of Ishmael, because it's getting rid of an aspect of himself. And even though it might be good for you to do, it's hard for you to do because we have attachments to what we create, whether they're good for us or bad for us, okay? So then we have verse 12.